with your host, Andrew Romanella.
When you play Battle in Mario Kart and you don't turn off any of the items, there are bananas everywhere. I mean, it's like you're losing your balloons because you're slipping on bananas left and right. Bananas everywhere. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into another edition of The Rome Show here on 12ouncesports.com. Broadcast live on YouTube and X. I am your host, Andrew Romanella. I got you for the next 30 and change. It's a Tuesday. You know what that means. Hockey with Rocky will be joining us on the show, and boy, is that very exciting. Get in on the action. The Rome Show 1, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, whatever you got going on. We are here for you. Get us on the social media, 12OZ Sports on all of those social media handles as well. If you would like to comment live on the show, you do it on YouTube and you do it on X, and we have the opportunity to comment live back to you. Monday Night Football last night. We had a good one in the Harbaugh Bowl, the Baltimore Ravens versus the Los Angeles Chargers. We'll break that down. I got the NFL standings for you. Since yesterday on the show, we got so into how bad both New York football teams are that we didn't even have a chance to talk to you about the NFL standings. So we'll break down both the wild card and the current division standings in the National Football League. And then, of course, it's Tuesday. It's one of our favorite days of the week. It's a little bit of hockey with Rocky. So we'll get Rocky on the airwaves later, and we'll be able to break down the Blues firing their coach for the Bruins recently fired head coach. This is the third time in as many firings that a Bruins head coach has been picked up by another team within 10 days of being fired by the Boston Bruins. A crazy story in Canada where the Utah hockey team had to walk to their game. We'll get into that. And then Sidney Crosby scores his 600th goal, becoming the 21st player in NHL history. I mean, a plethora of things. So I'll stop giving you the appetizer menu, and I will start diving into the main course where we break down a little bit of Monday Night Football, Ravens versus Chargers. I think my mouse just died. That is disturbing stuff. We'll make it through nonetheless. Last night in Los Angeles, the Ravens beat the Chargers 30-23 on the backs of a fully complete game on the ground for the Baltimore Ravens. We came into this last night saying, what can the Chargers defense do to slow down the rushing attack of Derrick Henry? And nothing. The Ravens in general, in a whole, as a team, ran for 212 yards last night. They averaged 5.7 yards a carry as a unit, and they had 2 of their touchdowns on the ground rushing, okay? Derrick Henry, 140 yards on 24 carries. Justice Hill, 55 yards on 4 carries and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson, 1 TD, which we'll show you in a minute here. And then Lamar through the air, 177, 2 TDs, and a touchdown thrown to Mark Andrews and a touchdown throw to Rashad Bateman, which was a 41-yard pass. So the Ravens looking much like the Ravens we expect to look week in and week out. The Chargers, they held serve till about the fourth quarter when, unfortunately, they were not able to stop the 16 unanswered points by Baltimore. And then it just became too much of a deficit. They found themselves down. I think it was 30-16. They score a late touchdown, which is all well and good. Gus Edwards runs it in because J.K. Dobbins got hurt. But nonetheless, the Chargers' 4-game losing streak is over. And at the end of the day, this Monday Night Football game just told you one thing. You don't really know about either one of these teams. You don't really know about the Chargers. You know, you're feeling a whole lot better about them. New Harbaugh in town. Team is playing significantly better, right? All of those things. Except you go play a good team on your schedule. Little bit of a weaker schedule through the first 11 weeks of the year, you lose the game. Now, I don't think they got blown out. I don't think they looked atrocious, but clearly their defense, is going to be possibly their Achilles heel. And if their running game isn't going, because last night, running wise, they only ran for 83 yards. Justin Herbert threw for 218, no touchdowns in the air. That's a big aspect of their game. So a big win for the Ravens, who needed to prove to themselves that they could stop losing these random games. Like, I don't believe this is an 8-4 team. I think based on the way it looks on their best days, there's no reason why the Ravens shouldn't be held in regard right underneath or with the Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. But I feel like because you have that random loss to the Browns, you have a random loss to another bad team, it's like, can I believe in the Baltimore Ravens? The game started out hot with 2 quarter time. Like when I was in high school, we used to love watching the next generation of football players like huddle highlights or highlights from their high school days. Well, I don't know if anybody out there remembers this, but I obviously do. So I went and got the tape for you. But this is Lamar Jackson in high school. Please tell me if this play looks eerily familiar. Lamar in purple, in quarterback. Listen to the music, by the way. Whoop. Here he goes. He's moving. Watch this. Watch Lamar when he gets to the end zone here on this dude. Oh, no. Sorry. Oh, it's the same play. And you know what? For all the kids at home watching, this is my note to tell you that practice makes perfect. Because Lamar Jackson, and if you watch his high school highlights, I'm popping that up there one more time. If you watch Lamar Jackson's high school highlights, he's done this 1,000 times. You watch his NFL career, he does this every day. Lamar Jackson, unbelievable talent. And I just thought that was a lot of fun right there. Look at that, young Lamar doing what he does in the NFL now. Beautiful to see. Let's pop these standings up. I'm going to go in reverse order here. Let's start with the AFC because we watched an AFC game last night. All right, here we go. That's not reverse order because that's supposed to be the wild card. There we go. Okay. In the hunt right now, this is the playoff standing. So you'd have if the season ended tomorrow, the Kansas City Chiefs would be the number 1 seed with the bye in the AFC. Then it would be Bills, Steelers, Texans, Ravens, Chargers. Okay, you got the Broncos at 7-5 right outside that mix. And you have the Dolphins at 5-6, the Colts at 5-7 right outside that mix. I don't believe, looking at this, any of these teams are ridiculously great. Now, I'm going to pop the NFC up on the screen here for the people. All right. The Detroit Lions would take the number 1 overall seed here. But here's the thing with the National Football League, and especially this year in the National Football League, it doesn't matter what the first 7 to 8 weeks look like for you. If you either did one of 2 things, dominated your record, so like the Chiefs and the Lions, doesn't matter if you dominated the football, the Eagles 9-2, the Vikings 9. If you found a way to get yourself to an 8-3 or a 9-2, you really put yourself in a great spot because it feels like the entire league is 6-6. Like that's what it feels like to me this year. It feels like the entire league is 6-6. So it doesn't really matter what you did the first 8 weeks. It's like, all right, we got to sprint it down the stretch here. Like the Lions could have won 9 straight. They're still only 1 game up on the Philadelphia Eagles, who we were all firing their head coach 5 weeks ago, right? The Kansas City Chiefs were like, could they be the Miami Dolphins first on? No, they can't. They've won their last 8 games by like a half of a point. So I just think that in this year's NFL, I don't know if you can really, outside the AFC East, which I'll pop up on the screen right here because the Buffalo Bills can win it on Thanksgiving with a Dolphins loss and a Bills victory. Outside of the AFC East, right, you're looking at this NFL and you're going, this is a lot of similarity here. There's a lot of things could go either way. A 2-game swing in the AFC South and the Colts are in first place, right? A 3-game swing in the AFC West and the Chargers are in first place, but they might not get to the Chiefs, but you got them and Denver both with 7 wins. 1 game separates the AFC North top section. So, and then you add about 5 teams that you could probably consider into playoff contention. Then let's go to the NFC really quickly before we get Rocky on the air here. And it looks very similar. I mean, the Giants are atrocious. Listen to my show yesterday, the Rome Show podcast. If you missed it, hammered them. They deserved it. The Giants are atrocious. Look at the NFC West. There are two teams at 5 and 6. And then if you put up the NFC wildcard standings again, you're looking at the Commanders at 7 and 5. They're outside of the playoffs right now. Then you have the Cardinals at 6 and 5. Then you have the Bucks, the Rams, and the Niners at 5 and 6. This thing could go 47 different ways before the end of the year. So I'm needless to say, insanely excited about the National Hockey League. Excuse me. How about that? Oh, man. That was scary. The National Football League. All right, I'm going to pop this off the screen real quick. We're going to take a 1-minute commercial break. We're going to get Rocky on the airwaves here, and we're going to keep cooking on the Rome Show, 12OZ Sports.
Need tickets to that next event? Well, at 12-Ounce Sports, we've got them with soccer anywhere in the world. Tickets to any venue, any sport. Want to go to NCAA or NFL football matches? We've got them.
Yeah.
Baseball at every level. Every Power 5 matchup is available. Don't forget, costumes and paint are optional. What's that? You want to go to Broadway? We have those too. Want to jam out? Every concert, every artist. That's right. At 12-Ounce Sports, we've got the tickets for less. 12ozsports.com/tickets. That's 12ouncesports.com/tickets.
Yeah, it's the Rome Show. The Rome's Show. 12ozsports.com, YouTube, X, Andrew Romanella, our guy, Rocky Romanella. Let's see if I do this right.
Right. I want to start hearing that it's important that a team is practicing their defensive 2-minute drill, because no one in the NFL can stop anyone with like, if you have over a minute left, you're kicking a field goal every time.
Every time.
And that's the man on the screen, Rocky Romanella. How are we doing today, fine sir?
I'm doing great. I'm coming at you Pat McAfee style. I'm going to stand up the entire time.
Oh, I dig it. Where are you at right now?
I'm in the basement. We've got the first round of family has showed up for Thanksgiving, and so we're displaced, not for a bad thing, for good reasons, but we moved locations this morning.
Very, very excited. I'm not going to lie to you. I kind of actually dig it. We got like an up angle here. Jawline looks really good. Talk to us about the Thanksgiving Day plans before we get into sports.
We got the in-laws coming in. We will be deep frying a turkey. We'll probably have a complimentary oven cooked ham to go with it, and then your classics. Your stuffing, Brussels sprouts. Whatever people like on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no doubt. We put this up on the board yesterday in my office, Rocky. If you had to choose one dish that is your favorite on Thanksgiving, appetizers, main course, and dessert all on the table, what would it be? Like, what are you getting no matter what every Thanksgiving Day?
Stuffing.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I particularly like it with some sausage.
I'm not going to lie to you. A lot of people have been choosing stuffing, and I'm very, very surprised by that. But hey, who am I? I mean, who am I?
I'm picky too. I don't even put gravy on my turkey. Like I'm just, I don't need.
I'm not a gravy guy.
Like, I don't want to say it out loud because I know a lot of people are going to get offended, but like, I'm not in the same camp as everyone who's like, Thanksgiving is the best holiday ever.
Ooh, hot take. It might be.
I'm glad that you like it, and I like what it stands for. I like the family side, and I like hanging. But like, to sit here and tell me that Thanksgiving is greater than Christmas, New Year's Eve,
or anything else,
Memorial Day weekend,
July 4th,
4th of July. Like, there's just so many other good times.
Yeah.
And I love Thanksgiving, but not to that extent.
Nah, it's a great point. It's actually really an exceptional point out of you. You know what? I'm going to start tomorrow show with asking the people this question, because I think, Rock, if I was to poll it, and I think I'm going to do this tonight, I bet you'd find more people are in your camp They like the holiday for the holidays activity, hanging with family, watching football, chilling, and probably shopping a little bit online or maybe even at the stores. All right, we'll stop it there. Because we got to get into a lot. We have to get into a lot with Rocky right now. You heard my National Football League stuff. Why don't you give me your thoughts on that, and then we can transition to wherever else you're going to go today.
I think my first take on football is, when you look at the standings, it's actually, especially from the NFC East standpoint, it's exciting that it's so top heavy. Because when you've looked at the overall play, or you've looked at you didn't really know what the season was going to give you in weeks 1 through 4. Like week 1 through 5, you're like, this is interesting. But now as the teams have really kind of settled into their identities and started playing some really good football, to see that at 7-5 you're in a wild card spot, that's awesome. I love it. It looks to be like a really competitive back half of the season. So I'm from a general football standpoint, it's exciting that the playoff run is going to be that compelling.
I agree with that. That's a really good point. Okay. How do you feel about the Giants? You were at the game with me on Sunday. I called it yesterday, Rock, and I wasn't even kidding. I said it too. I was like, I'm dead serious. This could be the worst football game I've ever watched with my own eyes live. Do you feel that same way about where that game was on Sunday and where the franchise
The Giants
is?
almost broke my fanship on Sunday. Literally almost broke it. I think I told you, the guy was yelling out teams that he was changing to. I was like, I'm going to be a Lions fan. I just I can't, the level of competition is not there, and it hasn't been there in quite some time. And it really hasn't been there since Tom Coughlin was the head coach. In all reality, I mean, you had the 1 year with McAdoo where they went to the finals, and then you had the Miami boat pick with Odell, and they sucked and they lost to the Packers. But outside of that, between Pat Shurmur, Joe Judge, Brian Dable, 3 different GMs, you don't have a competition level on the New York Giants that has any semblance of who they truly are. And the worst part is, for me, is that they're losing the New York Giants identity. There's no, I'm not afraid to play the Giants. You can't, the players on this team can't even mutter the words Lawrence Taylor. They can't even, they can't even look Michael Strahan in the eye with a proud face just based on the way they're playing. It's just embarrassing. It's a terrible product.
That's an exceptional point. It's almost less about the win-loss record and more about the effort level and what it looks like. And
you can lose games, but compete.
Well, what do they call it? The Giant way? Is that what the saying's been for the history of time?
Listen, I don't know anymore. I don't know. I don't know what our tradition is, because I look over. Honestly, I'm going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Because I want to go be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, because when you look at Mike Tomlin's tenure and you look at the talent level, he's going to the playoffs every year.
Yeah, and there's a consistency there, which is really nice.
Every year. I don't want to play for the first round draft pick. I don't care about that.
No,
that is awful to me. If more people talk to me, oh, you're going to get the draft pick. Oh, you're going to get the draft pick. Oh, you should wait for Arch Manning. Wait for Arch Manning. That's 800 days away. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no, listen, you're
how can you sit here and watch 10 years of losing and then tell me you want to wait another 2 for Arch?
Yeah. And if you were wondering, it's actually 13 years of losing.
I mean, what world do we live in where I'm looking at a real life football fan who's like, we should lose every game? What?
I know. And then to me, it's you're not a fan. And I get what you're trying to say, right? What you're trying to say is, not you, Rocky, the fan is trying to say it's better to lose than win because draft picks presumably will help us get better in the long run. I think, and this is my opinion, creating a championship culture and then adding the pieces is what wins. You have to have an identity for just competing. If you think about the Detroit Lions, your new favorite team, when Dan Campbell got hired, he came in front of the microphone. He said, we're going to bite the kneecaps off of people. We're going to be animals. We're going to compete. And everyone's like, this guy's a psycho. And his first year, I bet, I'll go look this up. I bet the Lions finished 5-11 or
identity.
Identity.
The crying press conference was his first year.
There you go. And you know what they did? They competed. And literally, they lost every game 42-38, it felt like that season. But 2.5 years later, look at the Detroit Lions now. Identity, then players. And Rock, I think the New York Giants and the Jets, I was saying this yesterday, both franchises at MetLife Stadium have lost their identity. They don't know who they are as a franchise, and therefore it rolls into their decisions of who are we even putting on the field to win football games.
It's just sad. It's really sad to see. And I am all in on 360 Management Services belief that this is an organizational problem and that it would actually be worse for them to file Dable and Chain at this point because of their grotesque turnover at the leadership positions that are that are there to help you win football games. It's unwatchable.
We're talking to Rocky Romanella. It's Tuesday. It's Hockey with Rocky. The one thing I realized I didn't do yet was this. So you got both going on. You got Rocky in a new type of intro today.
Inside the glass.
Yeah, but it's hockey time.
Hockey with Rocky.
That was me taking a slap shot.
I like it. Sidney Crosby's here. Scored 300 goal. Hit the 600 goal mark 2 days ago in a 6-1 defeat. And his endurance. People think he could play till he's 50.
So let me ask you this question: when we're talking about Crosby, and then we're in a time period where we're also about to watch Alexander Ovechkin. Whenever he gets back from injury, it's going to happen at some point. He's going to break the Wayne Gretzky scoring record. And we've had this conversation, right, about the difference in player. Is this that age-old debate, right, where it's like this one guy is the greatest all time at a singular thing, where this guy could arguably be considered, if not the greatest, one of the top two greatest all-around players in Sidney Crosby? Like, is that what we're watching? We're watching two generational players, Rock, but, like, you can't really hold them in the same regard. Am I right about that?
No, you hold them in the same regard as the top two of their generation. I mean, they're the two best players, or most notable best talent, I guess you could say. I mean, but Crosby Ovechkin, comparison is really it's kind of old. It's not really there anymore, and that's really kind of ended when Ovechkin won his Stanley Cup, because once he got his cup, then no one's going to question him again. And that's the beauty of winning the Stanley Cup. You don't need to win more than one in hockey. You just need one. So then the comparison goes, hey, you've got Crosby with 3. And you look at look at what it took for Crosby to get to 3. It was really, building a team around him and letting that team take the makeup, right? Because Crosby was always playing defense. He was always distributing the puck at the assist level, right? Whereas Ovechkin's a power forward. They play 2 different positions. Crosby's the centerman who's going to play smart defense. And, Ovechkin's the power forward who very publicly had to learn how to play defense in order to help his team win the Stanley Cup. So, when you look at all around, okay, 2 different positions, like you're not going to compare a center to a shooting guard in the NBA.
That's a great point. And that's what I was thinking. I was thinking like a Steph Curry, a LeBron James, a Michael Jordan. Like you're going to put the 3 of them probably on the Mount Rushmore of basketball, most people, but you can't really look at them as being the greatest of all time in the same light. It's a different type of person. And that's how sports comparisons should really go. It's not one greatest player of all time because every position broken down is just so insanely different. You know what's wild to me? I have to say this. All right, go. I see you have something. Go.
Oh no, I was just going to say, I think when you look at Crosby, he continued that the Gretzky style, not just goals, distribution, team play, captaincy, greatness. When you look at Ovechkin, he took like a big lumbering power forward who could like checks, take long slap shots from the blue line and maybe get a couple of deflections to score a goal and made it like a high talented, high profile, high skill position with the physicality. So they both made strides forward, but they're just different.
That's a great point out of you. What was different to me was seeing the Boston Bruins fire their coach. Then 5 days later, the Blues fire their coach to hire the guy that was just fired in Boston. And furthermore, Rock, this is the 3rd time the Boston Bruins have fired their coach. And within 10 days, somebody else has picked that guy up. What? Can you explain that to me?
The winning percentage of the last 2 Bruins head coaches is like somewhere in like the 700s.
This dude that just got fired, Montgomery, was 120 and 64. Like, what? 120-64. Like, who gets fired after that record?
120-64, and it's only his third season. By the way, he won the President's Trophy 2 years ago.
He was the best coach in the league.
It's fascinating. And again, it goes back to like, and we're talking about it with the Giants, but it just goes back to this business of hockey and the business of football and the business of pro sports. And you see it on my title, canceled GM mode, right?
Yeah.
There is too much interaction from the front office to the actual game day operations, and the money is getting in the way. The decisions they're making on how to manage their players in the offseason is getting in the way, and it's translating onto the ice, and we're holding the coaches accountable for that. And in some cases, they really have no chance to succeed. I mean, you need to send the players the message, you fire Jim Montgomery, but if the St. Louis Blues go on a run and they get back to the Stanley Cup final, you're going to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what did I just do? Because I just watched Bruce Cassidy leave me and then win the Stanley Cup literally less than 365 days later.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, what is the fixation with 8-9-1? Is that atrocious of a start in essentially the most parity written season in the National Hockey League in at least my last 5 to 10 years of memory? I don't understand how that justifies a firing. It just makes no sense to me. And then to be on top of that, I don't think it's right for the dude, Drew, whatever his name was, in St. Louis to get fired just because that guy, like, that to me was also messed up. It's like, okay, dude in St. Louis, what if you also just took the best option for your team right now and threw him out the door just because that shiny toy looks a little bit better than the toy you have right now? That was wild.
It's nuts. It's almost like is the coaching staff and the front office aligned on what the three most important statistical items are for the team? Because I don't know if they are or not, because I think the Blues were like one of the worst defensive teams in the league, like heading into it. And the Bruins the Bruins were all over the place. I mean, they were just gross. They were just underperforming in every facet.
And by the way, that GM really botched the goalie thing too. So it's not like this guy's got a great track record.
You didn't sign Montgomery to the extension in the summer either. So it's not like it's the players and the coach came into the year like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing here.
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. All right, Rock, 1 minute here. So finish up with your last thoughts.
So the Utah Hockey Club runs into Toronto traffic and ends up getting out of their bus and walking to the stadium because it's faster than the traffic. And it's funny, like no one cares. Everyone thinks it's awesome from a hockey standpoint, but like if you go on like Twitter, it's like, oh, the mayor of Toronto has really messed up the traffic pattern and all this stuff.
Yeah, I saw an article. It was like, this is embarrassing. I'm like, well, what is embarrassing? But like, that's kind of funny. Like, it is kind of wild.
Yeah, no, definitely cool, but all good stuff. I mean, I think like overall league looks good from an NHL standpoint. It is. I'm done with GM mode. I need to call Matt and be like, you gotta stop letting people play this mode because like they're more interested in GM and money movement than they are the actual field of play, and it's killing sports.
I think that we will take a turn backwards at some point in a good way in the next 5 years or so. And back into coaching matters. Managers matter. The people that are coaching these players and with these players on a daily basis, that matters a little bit more than the guy sitting up in the office that is not on the ground level on a day in and day out basis. I think it needs to be that way too.
Yeah, the budget sheet isn't the field of play.
Correct.
So stop.
Gut feeling comes into it too. Wow. What a great Hockey with Rocky. Or you know what we should change the name of this thing. Sports with Rocky. What are your thoughts?
Coach's Corner, man. We've been doing, I mean, we're I like Coach's Corner.
I like Coach's Corner too. So I think you have to change your little name when you get up on the show then.
All right, I can do that. I can type it in. I have creative freedom.
Good. All right, word. Mr. Rocky Romanell, thank you. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. Thank you for joining us. It is now time for ba 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 na na ba 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 na 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 na. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's finish the show. What a good segment in the Hockey with Rocky area today. Fire me up. I love when he gets on here and he's amped up about something. It usually turns out to be a really fun Tuesday for the people. Yesterday was not a fun Monday for the kid. 0-3, Chargers +2.5, nope. Dobbins TD, nope. Under 50.5, nope. 154 and 123 overall. That Utah Hockey Club that you just talked about, walking to their game, they play the other Canadian team, Montreal, tonight, the Canadiens. I'm going to take the Utah Hockey Club on the money line. I'm taking the grittiness of this Utah team. Get out the bus and walk your professional athletes. Heck yeah, they're going to take it to the other Canadians tonight. Money line. I'm going to move to the NBA. It did not look good at the start for the Milwaukee Bucks, for Doc Rivers, for Giannis Antetokounmpo, for Damian Lillard, but they're starting to turn it around. They are on a 4-game winning streak, and they play a very inconsistent, often hurt Miami Heat team. So I'm going to take the Bucks tonight to win their 5th straight. Give me them on the money line. The Spurs, Wembanyama had gotten hurt for a moment. The Spurs are playing better. Chris Paul's on that team now. They play the Utah Jazz tonight. Utah-filled show, apparently. And I'm going to take the Spurs. They're favored by 2.5. Give them to me. So I got the Spurs at -2.5. I got the Bucks on the money line versus the Heat, and I got the Utah Hockey Club on the money line versus the Canadians. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Rome Show, 12 OZ Sports. We broadcast live every day at 7 a.m. Back tomorrow morning. Make sure you have an electric Tuesday. Head to RomeShowShop.com. Head to 12 OZ Sports. Subscribe to everything. Andrew Romanella saying peace.
Thank you for listening.